Hello students, how are you all? Shall we start social science class? Take your social science book. I have you open page number 305. Open page number 305. Have you opened all of you? Have you completed your classwork and homework? Finish your classwork and homework as well as you have to study. Got it? Everyday study. That is your work. Prepare for the exam. Prepare for the exam. So study every day and finish your homeworks and classwork which are given. Okay. Economics second unit, globalization and trade. Economics second unit, globalization and trade. The same unit, the last class we have seen till the French. Today we are going to start from globalization in India. So you know that what is globalization is. Globalization means the Tamil meaning of globalization is Ulagamayama. Okay. And what is globalization? Globalization is the integration of a country with the world economy. Okay. எல்லா கண்ட்ரியோட எக்கனாமி லெவலை என்ன செய்கிறது ஒருங்கிணைக்கிறது தான் குளோபலைசேஷன். ஓகே, த்ரூ த ட்ரேட்ஸ். Globalization in India. In India, the period after 1980 to 81 was marked by severe balance of payment difficulties, mainly due to hike in oil price and Gulf War in 1990-91 and hostilities in West Asia. Okay, so in 1980 to 81 and 90 to 91, India was depression. Okay, in economically very depression. Got it? Because the Gulf War was happened in 90 to 91. Okay, and due to the hike in oil price also, these all are the difficulties by India face the severe balance of the payment. Okay, and when the new government took over in June 1991, India had unprecedented balance of payment crisis. Okay, unprecedented balance of payment crisis. With the downgrading of India's credit rating by some international agencies, there was heavy flight of capital out of India. So இந்தியாவில் வந்து அந்த 18 to 81, 90 to 91 வந்து இந்தியாவோட எக்கனாமிக்கல் லெவல் வந்து ரொம்பவே பின்தங்கிய நிலையில் இருந்துச்சு. ஓகே, ஒரு நெருக்கடியான நிலையை வந்து இந்தியா வந்து சந்திச்சிச்சு. Got it? Since India lost its credit worthiness in the international market, the government mortgaged 40 tons of gold to the Bank of England. Under these circumstances, the government for 1991 to 92 presented its budget in July 1991 with a series of policy changes with underlined globalization, liberalization and privatization. This has come to be called as India's new economic policy. These policies were strengthened when India signed the Dunkel Draft in 1994. Okay, ஸோ இந்தியா வந்து 1991 அதோட நிலைமை வந்து பொருளாதாரத்தில் மிகவும் பின்தங்கி இருந்துச்சு. அதனால் அவங்க வந்து எது கூட வந்து சேர்ந்தாங்கன்னா லிபரலைசேஷன், ப்ரைவேடைசேஷன் அண்ட் குளோபலைசேஷன் இது மூலமாக அவங்க இந்தியா வந்து பாலிசி உருவாக்குனாங்க. இந்தியாஸ் நியூ எக்கனாமிக் பாலிசி. ஓகே, அது ஒரு ஸ்ட்ரென்த் பிடிச்சிச்சு இந்தியாவுக்கு. ஓகே, தென் reforms made to adopt globalization. New economic policy in India. Okay, ஸோ இந்தியாவில் வந்து ஒரு நியூ எக்கனாமிக் பாலிசி வந்து உருவாக்குனாங்க. ஓகே, ஒய் abolition of industrial licensing except for a few industries. So they cancelled most of the unwanted industries license. Okay, and a reduction in the number of industries reserved for public sector. So the public industry ஓட எண்ணிக்கை வந்து குறைச்சாங்க. Fixation of a realistic exchange rate of rupee to exchange exports to Indian goods. Then foreign private sector by making rupee convertible on trade on current account and by reducing import duties. Next one is foreign exchanges regulations were suitably amended. Then the statutory liquidity ratio. Okay, statutory liquidity ratio SLR was reduced to increase lending by RBI. So these all are the reforms made to adapt globalization by the new economic policy in India. What are the abolition of industrial licensing except for new industries, reduction in the number of industries reserved for public sector, fixation of a realistic exchange rate of rupee to exchange exports of Indian goods, foreign private sector by making rupee convertible on trade on current account and by reducing import duties. Foreign exchanges regulations were suitably amended. The statutory liquidity ratio was reduced to increasing lending by RBI. Okay. Multinational corporation. Okay. MNC. Multinational corporation is a corporate organization which owns or controls production of goods and service in at least one country other than its home country. ஓகே, அதாவது நம்ம நாட்டில் வந்து செய்யக்கூடிய இந்த சர்வீஸ் குட்ஸு அந்த சர்வீஸ் அதை எல்லாத்தையும் கட்டுப்படுத்தக்கூடிய நிறுவனம் தான் எம்என்சி. ஓகே, மல்டிநேஷ்னல் கார்பரேஷன். Then in multinational corporation building is given. Okay, picture is given here. Evolution of MNC. Evolution of MNC. Okay, so that growth of MNCs in India. Growth of MNCs in India. So the first evolution of MNC, like the East India Company, which came to India as a trading company and then it's met throughout the country to become politically dominant. These multinationals first stored their activities in extractive industries or control raw materials in the host countries during 1920 and then slowly entered into the manufacturing and service sectors after 1950. Most of the MNC at present belong to the four major exporting countries: USA, UK, France, Germany. However, the largest in American. 11 of the 15 largest multinational are Americans. Okay, so the trading company in East India Company, they came and they established some companies in India, as I know. So they introduced many new types of trade. Got it? So the India also they were followed these types of trade. Got it? And most of the MNCs at present belong to the four major exporting countries. What are the USA, UK, France and Germany. Got it? And next is growth of MNCs in India. A common form of MNC participation in India industry is through entering into cooperation with Indian industrialists. Trends of liberalization in 1980 gave a substantial spurt to foreign collaborations. This would be clear from the fact that of the total 12,760 foreign collaboration agreements signed between 1948 to 1988. As a result of liberalized foreign investment policy announced in July-August 1981, there is a further spurt of foreign collaborations and increased flow of foreign direct investment. Foreignல வந்து அவங்க இந்தியாவில் வந்து நம்ம டைரெக்டாக இன்வெஸ்ட் பண்ணி கம்பெனிஸை மேக் பண்ணுறதுக்கு வந்து அவங்களுக்கு இந்த எம்என்சி மூலமாக அவங்களுக்கு என்னாச்சு பெர்மிஷன் வந்துச்சு. ஓகே, தென் we got the agreements. Reasons for the growth MNC. Okay, expansion of market territory. As the operation of large-sized firm expand, it seeks more extension of its activities beyond the physical boundaries of the country in which it is incorporated. Okay. Then next one is marketing superiorities. A multinational firm enjoys a number of marketing superiorities over the national firms. It enjoys market reputation and faces less difficulty in selling its products, and it adopts more effective advertising and sales promotion techniques. அதிகமாக நிறைய மார்க்கெட் வந்ததுனால பொருட்களை வந்து ஈஸியாக என்ன செய்யலாம், செல் பண்ணிடலாம். அதனால் அவங்களுக்கு வந்து அதை விற்கிறதுக்கான சிரமங்கள் வந்து ரொம்பவே குறைவாக இருந்துச்சு. Next one is financial superiorities. It has financial resources and high level of funds utilization. It has easier access to external capital markets. Because of its international reputation, it is able to raise more international resources. அவங்ககிட்ட வந்து நிறையா நிதி இருந்ததுனால அவங்களுடைய வளங்களை வந்து என்ன செஞ்சாங்க, அதிகரிச்சாங்க. ஓகே, எம்என்சி வந்து எதுக்கு வளர்ந்துச்சு, எப்படி வளர்ந்துச்சு அப்படிங்கிறத பற்றி பார்த்துட்ருக்கோம். எக்ஸாம்பிள். நெக்ஸ்ட், டெக்னாலஜிக்கல் சுப்பீரியாரிட்டிஸ். The main reason why MNC have been encouraged by the underdeveloped countries to participate to their industrial development is an account of the technological superiorities which these firms possess as compared to national companies. So the undeveloped countries, they wanted to get the support from the MNCs. Because the account of technology superiorities, the technology is very high in the MNC. Okay, and the product innovations. MNC have research and development engaged in the task of developing new products and superior designs of existing products. So they introduced new types of products. New products என்ன செய்தாங்க, MNC வந்து introduce பண்ணாங்க, multinational corporation. Okay. Then so what are the advantages of MNC? இந்த MNCயோட நன்மைகள். Okay, producing the same quality of goods at lower cost and without transaction cost. அவங்க அந்த MNCயோட நன்மைகள் என்னென்னா, அந்த சேம் குவாலிட்டியான குட்ஸ் வந்து நம்ம லோவர் காஸ்ட்டுக்கு என்ன செய்யலாம், வாங்கிக்கலாம், இந்த டிரான்சாக்ஷன் காஸ்ட்டே இல்லாமல். ஓகே, ப்ரொடியூஸ் பண்ணுறது. MNC reduce prices and increase the purchasing power of consumers worldwide. அதோட ப்ரைஸை வந்து கம்மி பண்ணி பர்ச்சேசிங் பவரை வந்து இன்க்ரீஸ் பண்ணும். MNC is able to take advantage of tax variation, spurring job growth in the local economics. அதாவது உள்ளூர் பொருளாதாரத்தில் வேலைவாய்ப்பு வந்து ஊக்குவிக்கும். ஓகே, these all are the advantages of. And the disadvantages, what are they? They are a way of the corporation to develop a monopoly for certain products. They are also a detrimental effect on the environment. The introduction of MNC into a host country's economic may also lead to the downfall of smaller local business. And the last is MNC breach ethical standards, accusing them or evading ethical laws and leveraging their business agenda with capital. So அதோட தீமைகள் என்னென்னா, the first, they are a way for the corporation to develop a monopoly. அவங்க சில தயாரிப்புகளுக்கு வந்து அந்த முற்றுரிமை வளர்ப்பதற்கான ஒரு வழி. நெக்ஸ்ட்டு they are also detrimental effect of the environment. இந்த MNC மூலமாக வந்து பொல்யூஷன், அந்த என்விரான்மெண்ட் வந்து பாதிக்கப்படுறதுக்கு வாய்ப்பு இருக்குது. The introduction of the MNC is a host country's economy may also lead to the downfall of smaller local business. அதனால் சிறிய தொழில்கள்லாம் வந்து வீழ்ச்சி அடைவதற்கு MNC, ஏன்னா அவங்க வந்து நிறைய குட்ஸ்லாம் ப்ரொடியூஸ் பண்ணுறதுனால சிறிய தொழில்கள் வந்து முடங்குவதற்கு வாய்ப்பு இருக்குது. Okay, the last MNC breach ethical standards, accusing them of evading ethical laws and leveraging their business agenda with கேபிட்டல். அதாவது அவங்க வந்து சட்டங்களை மீறுவதோடு அவங்க வந்து என்ன செய்வாங்க, அவங்க மேலே இருக்க ஃபால்ட்டெல்லாம் மறைச்சி அவங்க வந்து சட்டத்தை மீறுவதற்கும் வாய்ப்பு இருக்குது. ஓகே, ஸோ தீஸ் ஆல் ஆர் த டிஸ்அட்வான்டேஜஸ் ஆஃப் எம்என்சி. வேர்ல்டு ட்ரேட் ஆர்கனைசேஷன். World Trade Organization. Fair trade is a way of doing business that ultimately aims to keep small farmers an active part of the world marketplace. ஒரு ஸ்மால் ஃபார்மரை வந்து கூட அந்த வேர்ல்டு மார்க்கெட்டில் வந்து ஒரு பங்கு பெற வைக்கிறது தான் வேர்ல்டு ட்ரேட் ஆர்கனைசேஷன். Got it? And aims to empower consumer to make purchases that support their values. Then GATT. What is that? GATT. General Agreement on Trade and Tariffs. GATT was signed by 23 countries in 1947. So India was one of the founder member of GATT. The Director General of GATT, Arthur Dunkel, came up with a draft final act known as Dunkel Draft was approved and signed. So the GATT, General Agreement on Trade and Tariffs. The full form of GATT is General Agreement on Trade and Tariffs. It was signed on 1947. When it was signed, in that time 23 countries were the member countries. So India is one of the founder member country of GATT. Okay, so the director of the GATT is Arthur Dunkel. Got it? World Trade Organization, WTO. The signing of the final act of the Uruguay Round by members nations of GATT in April 1994 paved the way for setting up of the WTO. An agreement to this effect was signed by 104 members. The WTO agreement came to force from January 1, 1994. The World Trade Organization were formed by the GATT member nations only. They made the World Trade Organization. Okay, and when it was signed, in that time 104 members were there. Okay, and the WTO agreement came to force from January 1, 1995. Trade related aspects of intellectual property rights. Intellectual property rights may be defined as information with a commercial value. Information with a commercial value. Under TRIPS, patents shall be available for any invention, whether product or process, in all fields of industrial technologies. TRIPS agreement covers 7 areas of intellectual property rights. Got it? So the TRIPS means trade related aspects of intellectual property rights. Intellectual property rights may be defined as information with a commercial value. Information with a commercial value. Impact and challenges of globalization. Some positive impacts are there, at the same time some negative impacts also there. Okay, so book page number 308, you take positive impact. What are they? A better economy introduced, rapid development of the capital market, standard of living has increased, globalization rapidly increased better trade so that more people are employed. Globalization மூலமா நிறைய மக்களுக்கு வேலை வாய்ப்பு கிடைக்குது. They introduced new technologies and new scientific research patterns. Globalization increasing the GDP of a country. You know what is GDP, already you have learned in the first unit, is or no? It helps to increase in free flow of goods and also to increase foreign direct investment. So these all are the positive impacts of globalization. The negative impact, too much flow of capital amongst country introduces unfair and immoral distributors of income. Another fear is losing national integrity. Because of too much exchange of trade, independent domestic policies are lost. Okay, so international trade அதிகமாக இருக்கிறதுனால domestic policies வந்து குலைக்கப்படுவதற்கு அதிக வாய்ப்பு இருக்குது. ஓகே, then the rapid growth of economy has required a major infrastructure and resource extraction. This increases negative ecological and social cost. Rapidly increases in exploitation of natural resources to earn foreign exchange. Environmental standards and regulations have been relaxed. So the environmental அதிகமாக பாதிக்கப்படுவதற்கு வாய்ப்புகள் இருக்குது. If you want to make more goods, we will affect the environment. Is the environment should be affected. Got it? Next, the challenges of globalization. The benefits of globalization extend to all countries, that will not happen automatically. The fear that globalization leads to instability in the developing world. The industrial world that increased global competition will let raise to the bottom in wages, labor rights and employment practices. It leads to global imbalance. எல்லா கண்ட்ரிலையுமே இது வந்து குளோபலைசேஷன் வந்து சமமான முறையில் ட்ரேடு நடக்குமான முடியாது. டெவலப்டு கண்ட்ரிஸ் வந்து அதிகமாக செய்வாங்க. டெவலப்டு கண்ட்ரிஸ் வந்து எல்லா விதத்துலேயுமே கம்மியாக தான் இருப்பாங்க. அவங்களால அதிகமாக ட்ரேடு பண்ண முடியாது. இம்பேலன்ஸ் ஆன நிலைமை வரும். Globalization has led to the increase in activities such as child labor and slavery. People started consuming more junk food. This caused for degradation of health and spread of diseases. Globalization has led to environmental degradation. So these all are the challenges of globalization. Okay, so this lesson is completed. Study and prepare. Got it? So you know that what is globalization is, no? Globalization means, the Tamil meaning of globalization is Ulagamayama. Okay, and what is globalization? Globalization is the integration of a country with the world economy. Okay, எல்லா கண்ட்ரியோட எக்கனாமி லெவலை என்ன செய்கிறது, ஒருங்கிணைக்கிறது தான் குளோபலைசேஷன். ஓகே, த்ரூ த ட்ரேட்ஸ். Globalization in India. In India, the period after 1980 to 81 was marked by severe balance of payment difficulties.